This video is for educational purposes only. All the attacks that were performed in this video was performed in a controlled virtual lab environment. We have used virtual machines on an isolated private network to carry out these attacks. The presenter is not responsible for any misuse of the information presented in this video and does not support any malicious hacking activities. Please keep in mind hacking systems is a cybercrime and will land you in prison if you misuse any of these tools on systems for which you don't have permission. So please use all these tools wisely. Let's move on to the demonstration now. Hello and welcome back to another session on cybersecurity. In this session, we're going to understand what are null sessions. We'll understand what is a Samba server and how SMB protocol is used along with the Samba server. We'll also understand how to exploit Samba server to get root file access. So we have a lot of questions to be answered in this session. We'll take a look at all these concepts. First, we'll take a look at what is this SMB protocol, server message block protocol, and how it is being used by Samba server. And the next thing is we'll understand what is a null session with respect to a Samba server and how we can exploit a Samba server to get root file access on a victim machine. So SMB protocol, server message block protocol, what is the use of this? It's used for a resource sharing. Resource sharing. Say we have systems which can have shared files. So there can be a separate directory wherein you can put your files and you can access these files from any other system. So to access these shared files, we need some kind of a server which will help us authenticate the users that are requesting access for these shared files. And the protocol that is used for this communication is called SMB protocol, server message block. So there's a request coming in for accessing the shared file and also a response going back. So it's not only with files, it can also be with printers and other resources in the network. So SMB protocol, what it means is its server message block is a network protocol that is used for sharing files, printers between computers over a network. So it's commonly used in Windows environments and it can also be used with other operating systems like Linux and Mac OS. So what is this SMB protocol used for? It's used for sharing resources and printers and files over a network. And what is Samba server? As I told you, when we have two systems and say we are trying to access the shared directory from one system to another system. So we have this Samba server listening in port number 445, or in some older systems it's port number 139 for requests. So Samba server takes care of the communication between the client and the system that hosts that shared directory, and it uses the SMB protocol for this uh, for handling the shared resources. So what is Samba? Samba is a widely used software that allows computers running on different systems like Windows, Linux and Mac OS to share files and printers over a network. And this is using the server message block protocol. So Samba server uses the server message block protocol to achieve this. And what is our objective here is to have shared files, printers and resources over the network. So it might be a little confusing at this point in time, but when we take a look at the demo, you'll be able to understand what we are really talking about. So this is the architecture for our demos. We'll have our I'll be having my laptop having this host operating system Windows 10. On top of that, we have this Type 2 hypervisor VirtualBox 7 running on Windows 10, and I have two machines, Kali Linux and Metasploitable 2. So Metasploitable 2 is the vulnerable Linux machine, and I'm going to have a shared folder here, that is temp. So temp is this folder which will have this file satish.txt. So what is this temp folder? It is a shared directory or a folder So any other system can access this specific folder, temp folder, and the protocol it will be using here is SMB protocol for requesting access for this folder and the files inside this folder. And the server that will be running here is the Samba server. So Samba server uses the SMB protocol, and it's listening in port number 445, or it can be 139 for older systems for any request, and there'll be a request and then a response generated back to your client. Say I'm trying to access this temporary folder, so there's a request done according to the SMB protocol to the server, and then there's a response going back to the client. So here, what is the concept of null session? See, when you're trying to access files or folders in another system, you should be providing a user ID and password. A null session is where there is no authentication required to access the resources. Say the user ID and password is null, there's no authentication required. So here the weakness is if you configure a shared directory and then you're not going to have any user ID and password authentication, any hacker can really access your files. Not only that, you can create a link called a Simlink, and if you're not validating the Simlink, you'll be able to get root file access for your systems. So what is that we are going to see in this demonstration is we'll see how to actually perform these things. Let me write it as steps. Step 1, what we'll perform is we'll try and scan. Say we'll use a scanning service like Nmap, and we'll scan for the Samba server versions. So Samba server has got different versions, Samba 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, these are like outdated versions. We'll scan for the Samba versions and then the port numbers, whether the port numbers are open, say 139 and 445 ports we are focused on. The second thing is we'll enumerate the Linux system. We'll use enum for Linux. We'll enumerate the Linux system. What do you mean by enumerating a Linux system? It is like getting more information, gathering more information about the ports, the services, the shared directories, the uses, the password policies on these directories. To get more information about a victim, we'll be using enum for Linux. And third thing is we'll be using our SMB client option to check whether we are able to access the shared folder without any user ID and password requirement. And the fourth thing is we'll be using Metasploit. So Metasploit Framework we've already discussed in depth on the modules and the exploits. So if you're new to Metasploit, I'll be leaving the link for the videos in the description below. Have a look at my lectures on Metasploit before coming into this session. So we'll be using Metasploit for scanning the SMB Samba servers here. We'll also be using Metasploit to create a Simlink, and then we'll finally get the root file access for our victim machine. So this is going to be the concept for this session. So we'll start with Samba server Nmap on our victim system to get information about Samba server. I hope you are clear with the architecture and what we are going to do inside and what we are going to do in this lecture video. So what are null sessions? As I told you, say if you're going to configure your Samba server wherein it gives access to others without validating the user ID or without the requirement for an user ID and password, that itself becomes a null session. So null session in the context of network security refer to connections that are established without requiring any authentication or authorization. So user can connect to a resource like a Samba server without providing a username and password. So that becomes a null session. That is itself a weakness. So the hacker can use this weakness and get into your system, get root file access. That's what we are going to see in this demo. Let's go to the demo now. So here I have two machines running on my virtual box. One is Kali Linux, which is my attacking system, and another one is a Metasploitable 2, the vulnerable Linux machine. So what is that I have in my Metasploitable 2 machine is I have this shared directory by name Temp, and inside this directory I have created this file satish.txt. So Temp is the shared directory which is going to give us some files which other systems can access. So now from our Kali Linux, we'll try and see how we can access this file and download this file. So for this, let's go to Kali Linux, and first thing what we're going to see is we need to get more info about our victim. So our victim machine is Metasploitable too, and we'll get more info about our victim's Samba servers using Nmap command. So let's check for the open ports. We'll use Nmap, and we'll check for all the services running on my victim 192.168.56.103, and that's the IP for Metasploitable to the victim system. So let's perform an Nmap just to see where our objective is to access the Samba server. We'll see the versions of the Samba servers running our victim, and we'll also see the port numbers and check whether the ports are open. So it's trying to start the scan, and here is the information, and we have a lot of ports open since it's a vulnerable Linux machine. And we are able to see port number 139 and 445 related to Samba servers which are open. So we have Samba 3.x to 4.x. So the version of the Samba servers and the port. So ports are open. So we have got some information about our victim, that is victims ports related to Samba servers are open. The next thing we can perform here is we can try to get, let me clear the screen, we can try and get the a list of shared directories, a list of shares from the victim. So what are the folders that are available that is actually shared by the victim? So those things we can just run a simple command like SMB client -l list all the shares on the victim. So you give the victim's IP 192.168.56.103. So it's going to list all the so there's no password here. So that is these are the share names available on our victim. So temp, I told you this is a particular folder which is being shared by this victim. So other systems, other people can really access this. And you see this is null session. We really don't have any password, and we can just like that log in. And you see we are able to see the shares. And for us the share name which is of interest is temp, and I have file inside this which I should be targeting. So there's also one more command, that is we can enumerate the victim. So for that we'll use enum for Linux. So we'll enumerate the victim, in the sense we'll gather more information about the shares, the password policies, the groups that are using these shares. We'll get a lot of info. So we'll use enumerate Linux -a, and then we can give the IP 192.168.56.103. So it's going to throw us a lot of info. It will also give us the list of share names. It will tell us the I told you, right, it's giving the list of share names, and it will also tell us the users who are having access to these share directories. It will give us information about the operating system and the platform, and it will tell us whether the server is allowing null sessions. See here, server allows sessions using username and password to be null. So we get a lot of info here, and we also get information about the password policy, the password strength, and things like that. So enumeration, enum for Linux helps us enumerate our victim and gather more information about this victim. So we have understood the user groups and the shares available, and also we have understood that it allows null sessions. So our focus of interest here is on the temp share. So how will you access this is you can go with SMB client and // you can give the IP 192.168.56.103. I'm interested in accessing temp, so I'll give /temp. See, there's no password here, so plus enter, and here we have got the access. And let's list the files here. See, I'm able to see satish.txt. So let me try get satish.txt. So it's getting file satish.txt, and we have downloaded this file. See, here is this weakness. We don't have an user authentication here. So we have a null session. We are able to log in without an user ID and password using, see, our password is null. And we are able to download the file from the shared source. And let's exit this. And when you come back and take a look at ls, you can see I have downloaded this file satish.txt from my victim. And what is there in this file? Sudo, it's not sudo, I'm already having root access here, so it's cat satish.txt. So here this is what I have given in this file. Hello hacker, please don't steal this file. So very well, if you go to our victim, and here I have this, right? So I can perform sudo cat satish.txt here. So what's there inside this file is it's msf admin. So hello hacker, please don't steal this file. So I was able to retrieve this file without providing any user authentication. I was able to enumerate my victim, get the shared folder. I was able to get the ports that are open, and I was just able to try and attempt using null password, and I was able to get to that specific directory and also download this file. Not only that, we can also use Metasploit. We can use Metasploit, and we can create a link called a Simlink, which will be pointing to a specific directory, a specific resource like the shared resources. And if the user is not validating, the victim is not validating this link, we can also get the root file access on the victim system. So let's see how to use Metasploit. So I already put up some lectures on Metasploit, and I have here started Metasploit. If you're not clear with what Metasploit framework is, please visit my lectures and come to this lecture. So here I am in Metasploit. Let me clear the screen, and the first thing that we are going to do here is we'll be searching for SMB version. So we'll use an auxiliary module which will scan and give us the SMB version running on our victim. So we can use this auxiliary module, and let's go with info of 0. So info display information about the SMB servers running on our victim machine. So we will use 0, and we'll clear screen. We'll show options. What options we need to set? We need to set remote host, and remote port is not required. Let's set remote host. Set our hosts. The victim's IP is 192.168.56.103, and we'll run. So this should give us some information about the Samba Server version running on our client. As I told you, SMB version 1, 2 are vulnerable for attacks, and it's outdated, and we can get some information. See, Unix Samba 3.0.2.0. So that's the version Samba Server detected on port number 445. So scanned 1 of 1. So that's what we get some information on the Samba Server version running on a client using SMB version. And we can also use this alongside Nmap to get more info. Let me go back. Now our demo will be on creating a Simlink, a link which will be pointing to a shared resource. But then when the user is failing to verify, or the victim is failing to verify this link, it can escalate and get a root file access, root file share access for this victim. So let's create this Simlink. For this, we'll be using this exploit. Let's search for Samba Simlink. That's the exploit we'll be trying and using. So here we have this Samba Simlink traversal, which is part of the auxiliary module. So let's get some info about this. Info 0. So this module exploits a directory traversal flaw in the Samba CIFS server. So to exploit this flaw, a writable share must be specified. So our writable share is the temp directory. So the newly created directory will link to the root file system. So we'll get root file access by using this writable share. So let's mm, use 0. So let me clear screen and let's take a look at show options. What options we need to set? We need to use this specific option. So R hosts, we need to set the R port is set to 445, and SMB share is that writable share. So we have temp in our victim, that's our SMB share. So the target here is to get root file share. That's the target. We'll get root file share. So now let's set R host to our victim's IP. And what next? We have to set the SMB share to the writable share that is temp, which we have enumerated and we have found out. And that's it. And now we can go with exploit or run. So let's type exploit. See, the remote port is set to 445, so no need to set that. And let's exploit. So yes, it has created this Simlink, and you're able to see root file system access we'll be able to get. So let's exit this and let's try and access Samba client. So now we'll go to 192.168.56.103 slash temp. I'm sorry, it's SMB client. So it's not Samba client, it's SMB client. I'm sorry for this. Now let's, there's no password here. And now you see, you can really get root file access, root file share access. And you can list the directories here. So you have got complete access here. So that's what this specific link traversal does. So you can very well go and download whatever you want. You can exploit the system to whatever extent you want. So this is the use of Samba Simlink traversal module in Metasploit, wherein we use a writable share for exploiting, wherein we exploit a writable share to get root file access. I hope you were able to follow this demo. I hope you were able to understand a lot of concepts here. What all we have discussed in this demonstration is we looked at what is this specific protocol called SMB protocol and what is a Samba server, how it uses an SMB protocol. After that, we ventured into the demonstration wherein we understood how to have a shared directory on a victim and how we can access this shared directory from our attacking system. So 4 steps we have followed. One is we did an Nmap scan to get the ports and the Samba server versions on the victim. We understood the ports were open. The next step was we used the SMB client to access the list of shares available on a victim. And the third step was we were using enum for Linux to enumerate to get more information about our victim system. And we were also using Metasploit to get the SMB version, and also we created the Simlink, and thereby we were able to exploit the victim and get root file share access from our victim. So with that, we are coming to an end of this session. If you have any questions, you can leave those questions as comment below. I'll be looking into those questions and answering your questions in the comments. That's it for now. I hope you had a wonderful session, and I hope you are now clear with how to access shared files using SMB. That's it for now. Take care.